growing up on the marsh, well, it's all right. I can't compare it with anywhere else because I've spent all my life on the marsh. So, yeah, it was. I mean, things have all altered from my youth, but I had quite a happy youth and childhood on the farm and on the marsh. The winter was just more or less looking after your livestock, which wasn't very pleasant, I suppose, in the winter, to look at your sheep which were grazing out on the marsh in wind and rain, and you come back cold and wet. But in those days, because sheep would always go down the ditch bank, the shelter side from which way the wind was, and then the snow used to drift over top of them. So you would probably have to go when it stopped snowing, going around to see if you got any sheep sort of snowed in, as we called it, and rescue them. Bird life is sort of seasonal, and a lot of sayings about. We had, golden plover that came over the winter. You go out and see the golden plover, and next day you go out and there was none. And the old boys would say, "Oh, the weather's going to be cold tomorrow because the plovers have moved south." And nine times out of 10, that was true. You had a sort of easterly wind the next day and freezing, and the gold plover sort of gave you that sort of weather forecast. Farmhouse was very cold. I can remember, because we had no heating upstairs, and I could remember many times getting out of bed and the sort of frozen frost on the inside of the window panes, sort of wiping that off to look out, see what the weather was like, whether it was snowing or what. But I remember when I was very young, we had an old open stove, and Mother used to put a brick in it. That used to warm up, and then she used to wrap it in newspaper, put it in the bed before you got in, and then you just took it out and you got into a warm bed. I suppose the marsh was really full of like small family farms, but they've all sort of gone. There's not many of them left. I suppose we're one of the only ones, because wasn't in my youth there wasn't much what we call arable farming on the marsh. It was all grass, sheep. Mainly sheep, a few cattle, but now you hardly see sheep. Now you see fields of yellow. trees and hedges were grubbed out and ditches filled in to make the fields bigger so they could use all the big farming machinery. I'm living on the main trunk road. That is one of the. I was saying in my young days, there was hardly any traffic, and the animals used to wander about and go on the road and that. But now, even you have motorbikes on a Sunday, lorries all week, all noise. There's more and more traffic on this road. I think as a child going out playing with, because there was no sort of traffic or there was a lot of the farm animals were running about the farmyard, sort of interacting with the pigs and chicken and sheep as a youngster. I think was something which will never occur again, not in this day and age.